Hey, it's Mike from the Uniband Alliance, and welcome to Why Scenes Are Suffering, Part 2. Okay, we covered the scene killers in the last one. My graphic didn't quite work properly. This we didn't get to cover, which was bands that think about themselves first. They don't tend to network with other bands. Okay, so I just wanted to point that out before we continue. So to recap, in part one, we learned what a scene is, why it's important, and what most bands do to ensure that it dies a slow, torturous death. This time we're going to explore why and how this happens and how to go about reversing it. Okay, so first things first, you have to make the decision to be part of the solution. Okay? It won't be easy. You have to often lead by example. You have to ask yourself, are you the cure or the part of the cancer eating the scene? Okay? So what's the problem? Well, most bands guess when it comes to launching a music career. They end up copying what they see without understanding how or why it works. They often have difficulty distinguishing fact from fiction. This copycat syndrome is the problem, or a big part of the problem. Okay, so the music business. Remember, it's called the music business. Most people start a band out of love, but don't bother to learn about the business side. It's like loving to eat food and starting up a restaurant. You're doomed to fail if you don't understand the rules of the game. Okay, so yeah, I love to eat food, but I'm not going to try to start up a restaurant. And yeah, you love to make music, but starting up a band and is business too. So you should have some idea of the business end before you dive into it. There's more to it than just having fun. So here's the copycat mistake number one: copying TV/Hollywood. Okay, so can you imagine? Here's this famous scene from The Karate Kid. Can you imagine entering a karate competition armed with only the knowledge you gained from watching the Karate Kid movie? Your ass would be kicked so fast you wouldn't know what hit you. Okay, so that's our picture number two. I'm not sure if you can read that or not, but it says fail. Your Karate Kid crane style is no match for my iron ball style. I thought it was appropriate anyway. So people can see that crane kick coming from a mile away. Hollywood glorifies conflict, competition between bands where one is the hero and the other is the zero. It doesn't have to be like that though. Competition is overrated, okay? Why bludgeon each other for bragging rights? Rivals can actually be resources, okay? Rival bands can be a great resource. You can work together for mutual gain instead of battling while a third party profits from the drama of the battle. It's not you against the world, okay? You need to have some allies in your corner. Yes, even other bands. It's impossible to win a game when you don't know the rules. Okay, so copycat mistake number two is copying local bands. And this I liken to the blind leading the blind, okay? It's slightly better than Hollywood, but how do you distinguish true success? Having a lot of cheerleaders doesn't necessarily equal success. And I call cheerleaders, people who show up from, fans or, family and friends that show up to most of your shows. And oftentimes they don't even really, care about the music. They're just out there to support you, mentally or in spirit. They're there. They're there to cheer you on, but they're not really, buying your stuff or going to be people that actually build a business off of. So many bands perform only with other friend bands they know, which is okay if you're piggybacking on someone else's success, but otherwise your fan base will flatline because if you keep playing the same shows with the same bands, then what interest is there for someone to see you more than once? They've seen the same thing, right? What are you going to do to change it up? playing with another band, preferably another high caliber band, is a quick way to add some more appeal and to turn your gig into an event. Okay, copycat mistake number 3, the justice mentality. Okay, now this was something I picked up from Eben Pagan, and but I'm calling this like the eye for an eye syndrome, where there's many bands that get ripped off, by agents, managers, club owners, promoters, and even by other bands, and you know it does happen. So don't let it consume you, and definitely don't perpetuate the cycle. The tendency is to say, hey, I got ripped off, and now I'm going to rip somebody else off to kind of get payback. And ripping somebody off that was completely innocent is it's not going to atone for the fact that you were ripped off. So it's just not cool to do. So if it happens, it sucks, but move on. Rise above it. Keep in mind the golden rule, which is always treat others the way you wish to be treated. In the short term, you may feel screwed, but you'll win out in the long term. And you know what? Unless you want to be a one-hit wonder, you need to approach your whole band business as a business, as a long-term plan, not something that you're doing for today and you're not doing tomorrow. Otherwise, it's going to be impossible to meet with success. So, copycat mistake number 4 is the fake it till you make it strategy. And while you may be able to fluff up your achievements with your fans and friends, as the saying goes, don't bullshit a bullshitter. And there's my lovely little icon right there. So bands, managers, booking agents, promoters, they're not stupid. So don't make claims that you just can't back up. It may give you short-term gain to fake it, but you'll end up with long-term pain. This is best, a great example of this is going to a bar and telling them, yeah, we can bring out 50 people, and then you're lucky if 5 people show up. The promoter or the store owner or the bar owner isn't likely to want to work with you again. So yeah, you got that one gig, but since you totally fabricated the amount of people you could bring out, chances are you just burned a bridge. And case in point, there's my graphic right there. So the moral of the story is, think long term instead of short term. Don't burn bridges. Respect others. Respect the scene. Respect your audience. Okay, so don't if you're going to charge $10 to come into your show, make it worth $10. Don't stare at your shoes the whole time and ignore the audience. Okay, and most importantly, make allies, not enemies. Life's a lot easier when you're surrounded by friends instead of enemies, okay? Forming alliances with other bands can help you to get more fans, more gigs, and more money in less time while having fun. Imagine that. Okay, so do you want to learn more? Has any of this made sense to you? Am I, getting through? If so, you can check out my site, www.indiebandalliance.com, and sign up for my free training called Alliance 101. And you'll get a plan of attack that doesn't involve chasing industry big shots or fans halfway around the world that will never attend a show. Okay? So, thanks for watching. That's all I got.